with the announcement that new G.I. Joe and Transformers comics will be published by Robert Kirkman's Skybound imprint of Image Comics as a new shared world dubbed the Energon Universe. Fans are waiting with bated breath to see how characters from both franchises will collide. Void Rivals #1 by Kirkman and Lorenzo De Felici stunned fans everywhere with the surprise appearance of Jetfire, kicking off the Energon Universe and combining Transformers and G.I. Joe into an all-new shared continuity, both launching in the early 1980s. The G.I. Joe and Transformers licenses has always been closely associated with each other. Already announced, the line will consist of an all-new Transformers series launching in October, followed quickly thereafter by 4 G.I. Joe miniseries, starting with introductions to the Joe and Cobra leaders, Duke and Cobra Commander. The connective tissue between both franchises seems to revolve around all parties warring over the acquisition of Energon, the fuel that gives the Transformers of Cybertron their life. We don't know much about the new shared universe, but here are some all-but guaranteed moments the upcoming slate of comics will bring us. The founding of G.I. Joe. According to the solicitations for Duke #1 by Joshua Williamson and Tom Riley, it sounds as if the elite G.I. Joe Strike Force doesn't exist quite yet. The series follows Duke as he investigates the mysteries behind the Transformers, with the answers leading to the birth of forces for good and evil that the world never imagined. The fact that the Joe team may ultimately form due to the arrival of the Cybertronians is very exciting, and a good way to tie both franchises together right from the get-go. This will surely lead to several epic and unforgettable moments of legendary characters meeting and more than likely fighting for the first time. The founding of Cobra. One thing we do know for sure is that the terrorist organization Cobra doesn't, with one man seeking the mysterious alien substance. Cobra and the Transformers. Optimus Prime's debut. Given that the Energon Universe is an all-new continuity, it stands to reason that featured characters from both. Chief among all of these is perhaps Autobot leader Optimus Prime. And from the solicitations for the new Transformers #1 by Daniel Warren Johnson, it doesn't sound like a triumphant return. The new story seems to kick off with Optimus Prime failing in some way and leaving the Autobots stranded throughout the universe. The ultimate reveal of what happened to the Autobots on Cybertron will be exciting to see play out, and give Prime the proper motivation to rally them all together against their enemies on Earth. Snake Eyes debut. Out of all the Joes, Snake Eyes is perhaps the most beloved by fans. It stands to reason that the ninja commando of the Arashikage clan will play a major role in the Energon universe, to the point where it wouldn't surprise us if Snake Eyes is one of the 4 announced G.I. Joe miniseries that kicks off the new continuity. It will also be interesting to see which version the creators decide to go with, as well. The original Snake Eyes action figure wore goggles and a gas mask before he got his classic, all-black ninja look with the release of his second figure. However he's presented, there's no question that Snake Eyes will be a big part of the new shared universe. Optimus Prime's Autobots. We've already been reintroduced to Jetfire in the pages of Void Rivals #1. But who are the rest of the Autobots that will make up Optimus Prime's team on Earth? Fan favorites like Bumblebee, Ironhide, Prowl, RC and Jazz seem like a lock for inclusion. But the Autobots will need some serious firepower to take on the Decepticons and Cobra. Therefore, heavy hitters like Ultra Magnus, Hot Rod, Rodimus Prime, Grimlock and the Dinobots, and combiners like Defensor and Superion would be valuable additions to the team. And if the creators want to get really crazy, the super powerful Omega Supreme and Fortress Maximus would be amazing to see appear in the new continuity. Optimus Prime meeting the Joes. The most exciting aspect of the shared universe will be seeing characters from both franchises meet again for the first time. And perhaps most exciting of all will be Optimus Prime and his Autobots encountering the Joes. Things seem to kick off in the Duke miniseries, which sees Conrad Hauser, codenamed Duke, investigating the arrival of the Transformers after they crash land on Earth. It will be interesting to see which way the creative teams of the various series handle these first encounters. Will they go the classic Marvel Comics route, Of having them fight initially before realizing that they're on the same side? Will Duke and the rest of the Joes have to go against their superiors to help what could be perceived as an invading alien force defeat their enemies, many of whom have access to a valuable resource in Energon? The possibilities are boundless. Megatron meeting Cobra Commander. In all the solicitation materials released so far for the titles comprising the Energon universe, there has been no mention of Megatron. A meeting with Cobra Commander also feels like an inevitable collision, made all the more interesting by the Cobra leader's quest for Energon. This element remains perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the all-new shared universe, as various powers on Earth and beyond vie for the scarce Cybertronian resource. Watching Megatron and Cobra Commander meet, scheme and inevitably plot to stab each other in the back will be a fun treat for longtime fans. G.I. Joe vehicle transformations. Given the nature of Energon, it can't be long until we see versions of iconic G.I. Joe vehicles transform into Cybertronian robots themselves. Seeing a HISS tank or Mobat or Tomahawk chopper transform into giant robots would be unbelievably cool. And there's already precedent for it in previous franchise crossovers. Last year saw the release of two crossover toys, a HISS tank that turns into Megatron, as well as an AWE Striker Jeep that transforms into Bumblebee. Jetfire's allegiance. Jetfire is the only Transformer we've met so far, but Void Rivals raises several questions for which we have no answers yet. At various points throughout Transformers history, Jetfire has been both an Autobot and a Decepticon, so there is the question of which side the Cybertronian warrior will be on in the coming war on Earth. There's also the question of how Jetfire got stranded on the remote moon in Void Rivals #1 in the first place, when the solicits for Transformers #1 hint that the Autobot-Decepticon war will start once again on Earth. Is Jetfire's appearance meant to suggest that various Transformers have been scattered across the galaxy and must find each other once more? It will be interesting to see how it all plays out, and how Jetfire in particular fits into the ongoing story. Void Rivals universe expanding. Void Rivals is the third element to the Energon universe, and according to Robert Kirkman, it's going to be a rather large part of the shared world. Void Rivals sets up a long-running intergalactic war between the Zertonian and Agorian empires. Two pilots from the opposing sides are stranded on a distant moon following a battle, and must work together to get out of their current predicament. Things are complicated when they come across the comatose Jetfire, who immediately transforms and takes off after being discovered, leaving the two space pilots no better or worse off in the process. A lot still remains to be seen, but part of the fun of the Energon universe will be seeing Transformers and Joe characters interact with this third, all-new property, with the launch of Skybound's new G.I. Joe and Transformers series. In October, it will be exciting to see what happens in the new shared Energon universe.